Some figures express the social injustice of the capitalism system. By 2020, the fortunes of 1% of the world's richest were already more than double the total sum with which 92% of the world's population lives. The 2,153 largest billionaires have amassed, through exploitation and looting, fortune greater than the total money with which the 4.6 billion most impoverished people on the planet live. The capital accumulated by the world's 26 richest people is equivalent to the budget with which the world's 3.8 billion most impoverished people live. Mountains, forests, rivers, seas are preyed on by extractive multinationals. The world's 10 richest men have seen their combined wealth increase by $540 billion during the pandemic. It is more than enough to both pay for a COVID-19 vaccine for everyone on the planet and reverse the rise in poverty caused by the pandemic. According to Oxfam, there is a lost decade in the fight against poverty. It was revealed in a report published on the opening day of the World Economic Forum's Davos Agenda. The inequality virus found that COVID-19 has the potential to increase economic inequality in almost every country at once. Inequality is costing lives. In a number of countries, the pandemic has highlighted gross inequality in health outcomes based on race, ethnicity, and income. Evidence suggests that Black people, Afro-descendants, and indigenous peoples are among those more likely to contract COVID-19 and to suffer the worst consequences. The healthcare of capitalist privatization brings millions of people to death. Pharmaceutical multinationals do business on pain, and large imperialist powers oppose the release of vaccine patents, leading to greater suffering for millions of people in the countries most impoverished by the looting of transnational capitalism. The peasant and indigenous communities are attacked. Cornered to the exodus, the working class is ground by exploitation. In every city or rural corner, millions of us are squeezed. Oxfam's calculations are based on the most up-to-date and comprehensive data sources available. Figures on the very richest in society come from Forbes' 2020 billionaires list and Credit Suisse Global Wealth Report. Because data on wealth was very volatile in 2020, the Credit Suisse Research Institute has delayed the release of its annual estimates on the wealth of humanity to spring 2021. The World Bank has stimulated what the impact of an increase in inequality in almost every country at once would mean for global poverty. The bank finds that if inequality increases by 2 percentage points and global per capita gross domestic product growth contracts by 8%, 501 million more people will still be living on less than $5.50 a day in 2030. This means that global poverty levels would be higher in 2030 than they were before the pandemic struck, with 3.3 billion people still living on less than $5.50 a day. The disjuncture between what is good for profits and what is good for human life is starkly on display in calls to reopen the economy, even while the virus remains uncontained. The gap between those with second homes and those with low-wage service sector jobs is more blatant than ever. Meanwhile, the climate crisis creeps along. It is often capitalism's defenders who laud its versatility and endurance. But in fact, the more brutal it is, the longer it can last. It has already survived wars that killed millions and destroyed entire cities. It will survive the fires and floods and droughts to come, and possibly even find new opportunities for accumulation in the process of rebuilding, at least for a while. At some point, of course, ecological breakdown will be too severe for capitalism to continue to function.